Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I achieved this shirt here, this cowl effect shirt that you are seeing. If this looks like something you're interested in, then let's get straight into the tutorial. First, we're going to begin with drafting the pattern we're going to be using to achieve this shirt. And first, I have a straight line there, which is just like a starting line. The next thing I want to do is to mark my hip circumference divided by 2. My hip circumference is 42. 42 divided by 2 is going to give me 21. I'm going to mark that all the way down, just like you see I'm doing. And at this point, I'm trying to determine how long the length of the blouse. Okay, I decided to add more. I also went ahead at this point to divide the paper into 2 also, because we need to get our front and back block. Now this is going to be a full bodice block. This is just a short tutorial, we're not doing much. At this point, I want to get my chest line. Your chest line is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 2.5. For me, mine is 8.5. For this tutorial, you don't need your half length for front and for back. What you need is you don't need to use back half length and front half length. You're going to use one uniform half length, which is the front half length. So mine is 16.5, and that is what I went ahead to mark. Now I'm also marking my shoulder to bust point. I just want to have that line there. Now the next thing is for me to determine the length of the blouse. Now I want this blouse to be 23 inches long, which is where I marked. But first, before I marked there, I went ahead to mark my shoulder to hip line, which is 26.5, and that is like 10 inches away from my half length. I'm marking the same thing for the back, and then I'll roll the line. Now I'm going to mark my blouse length, which is 23 inches. And this is it. Here I have the chest line, the bust line, the half length line, the blouse length, and the hip line. We'll go ahead now to impute our shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 15. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. This is a shirt, so you work with your accurate neckline, which is 3 by 3. Then finish up your neckline, and then I'll go ahead and connect to my shoulder. I'll bring down the shoulder measurement to the chest line, connect it straight to my shoulder slope. From the chest line, I'll go up by 3 inches, go in by 0.5, and then connect to the tip of the shoulder there with a straight line. Now the next thing is for me to bring in my bust measurement, which is my bust circumference divided by 4. Now because this is a shirt, I added extra 1 inch for allowance. I'll repeat the same processes for the back. My neck width is 3 inches, neck depth is 1. This is a shirt, we're attaching a collar. Shoulder slope is 1 inch. I'll connect that to my neckline now. Bring down this shoulder measurement to the chest line, just like we did for the front. For this, I'll divide what I have from the shoulder slope to the chest line by 2, go in by 0.5, and make that connection there. I'll bring down my bust measurement just like I did for the front and finish up the armhole curve there. On the bust line, I'm just going to bring down the bust measurement I have on the chest line and connect it to a straight line there. Moving on to the half length line, which is our waist measurement line. Now you don't need that for this pattern, so all you need to do is just divide your waist circumference by 4. Mine is waist 30 divided by 4 will give me 7.5. Then I added 1 inch for allowance, just like we did for the bust, giving me 8.5. And that is what I have marked, put in at the front and at the back, and I'm gonna head to connect. Now we move to the hip line, and my hip circumference is 42 divided by 4 will give me 10.5, which is exactly on that middle line there. Now you can see that on my blouse length, I don't need to mark any measurement there because I automatically have what is supposed to be there. And you can see that what I have there is smaller than what is on the hip line. That's why you don't need to bring your hip measurement to your blouse length. I hope that explains it. I'll go ahead and repeat the same thing for the back now. Okay, and that is what we have. Remember, what we need is the blouse length, so I'll go ahead and cut now. I don't need the hip line, so that is why you can see that I didn't cut that with it. Okay, okay, so my patterns are here. I have the back. For the back, we don't need to do anything, so I'll just set it aside now. For the front, this is where we have the cowl effect, so we're going to be making those alterations now. From the bust line, you can see I came down by 2 inches. Now I decided to change the marker to a black one so that you can see it better. So from the bust line, I came down by 2 inches, then I marked 2 inches upward again, and then another 2 inches upward and another 2 inches upward, giving me 4 points there. Okay, now I'll come to the tip of the shoulder there and connect the first point to the tip of the shoulder there. From that tip of the shoulder, I'll come down by 2 inches again and connect it to the next point. Can you see? I'll also come down by another 2 inches again and then connect it to the next point and mark another 2 inches also and connect to the last point. So you can see I have my 4 slash lines ready. Okay, I'll go ahead now and slash these lines, but don't slash through, because once you slash through, that means you're cutting it out. Okay, I'll bring another paper now where I'm going to be placing this paper so that I can effect my slash and spread. Alright, so this is it. I didn't know my camera didn't capture it when I was placing it. Now, so what I did was, you can see I secured that place on a straight line, and then I went ahead to open my slash lines by 2 inches all through. So I used the uniform of 2 inches all through. And then on the neckline there, I made a straight line, just a straight line like so, to connect to the center front, the starting point there. Now these two here that went out of that straight line, don't bother about them, just mark a straight line there and take them off. You just need this to be on a straight line because you're going to be cutting on fold. Okay, at this point our front pattern is ready and this is the back, so we'll proceed now to cutting. This is the fabric we'll be working with. This is the Duchess fabric. This is 2 yards. I've used it before and this is the leftover that I want to use here. Okay, now I'm going to place my front pattern. Remember, this is on fold. Sorry, my camera didn't show that fully, but this is on fold, and you can see that I gave some space up there. You know, this is supposed to serve as the facing for the cowl effect, and I use 6 inches. You can use any measurement of your choice, but I made sure my facing was 6 inches. Now I went ahead to add 1 inch hem allowance, which is what I'm doing now. And for the side seam, I also added 1 inch sewing allowance. For the armhole, I added 0.5. Same thing for the shoulder also, 0.5. On the hem, that side there, I went up by 0.5 just to give that side a little curve. Okay, now I'll go ahead and cut out. Okay, yes, I made that connection up and then cut out straight. Okay, so this is what we have. Can you see? Now the next thing is to fold your facing inside down like so. Can you see? This is it. Remember I told you that facing is 6 inches. Now you fold it inside. Why you're folding it is because you need to take out, you need to cut that facing from your neckline. You need to cut the neckline. Okay, so you can see I added 0.5. I marked that 0.5 inches as allowance for joining for the neckline, and then I went out to take out the excess. And if you do this correctly, this is what you're going to have. Can you see? This is how it's going to look like. Can you see? This is how it looks like at the back. Can you see? Now I'll keep this aside, proceed to cut the back. Remember, you're also placing your back pattern on fold because there is no opening at the back. We're going to be fixing a collar to it. I'll also go ahead and add my seam allowance, 1 inch for the hem and 1 inch for the side seam as well. For the armhole, 0.5. Shoulder and neckline, 0.5. Remember on that side seam, that hem there, I went up by 0.5 just to have a little curve there. Okay, now we're going to be cutting out. Alright, so now we have our front and we have our back pattern ready. I'll go ahead now and remove the pattern paper. Now I've opened it up. I'll fold in the facing, and this is what the front looks like. Can you see? And you can see the facing. So at this point, you don't need to worry about how you're going to knit in your cowl effect on the neckline. Can you see? It's already knitting there. I'll bring the back pattern now, and then we're going to proceed to sewing. This is the back. Can you see? Remember, you have facing there, which you're going to be joining at the shoulder. Okay, for the shoulder you're going to be joining on 1/2 inch, and for the side, you remember we added 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so I'm going to add that now. Remember to pin your facing. You know, this is a Duchess fabric and it's silky, so you want to work carefully with pins. So we'll do that now. Alright guys, so this is it. Can you see? Join the shoulder and the side seam. I also went ahead to press it out. The next thing is for us to measure round the neckline. We need this measurement for our collar, and we're going to be drafting a 2-piece collar, which is a collar stand and the collar itself. So we'll go ahead now and measure all round. So after I measured, I got 17.25, which is the circumference of the neck. Now the next thing I did was to measure only the back neckline, that is from one shoulder tip to the other for the back, and I came up with 7 inches. Now this paper, on this side we have a straight line there. I want my collar stand to be 1.5 inches when I'm done sewing, but I added my seam allowance from the paper, which gave me 2.5. So that is why I'm marking 2.5. I already have a starting line down there, which is a straight line, and that's why I'm making sure that what I have is 2.5. Okay, this means I'm not going to be adding any allowance once I place this pattern on the fabric. Remember, our neck circumference that we measured was 17.5. 17.5, I'm going to add 1 inch, that's 18.25, sorry. Divided by 2, I'll have 9.125. Remember, the back was 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, which is what I marked there. Now remember, on the tip here we have 2.5. From that 2.5, I'll divide it by 2, which is 1.25. That's the measurement I connected there. I will go up and make sure I complete my 2.5 measurement. And then up here on the side, I will go in by 1 inch. Yes, and then I'll come with my curve and make that curve there. Now my collar stand is ready. Now this is assumed to be on fold, which means my fabric is going to be on fold. I'll go ahead now to draft my collar, and I have a straight line there. Remember, the length of our collar that we're working with is 9.125, and for my collar stand I want it to be 3 inches plus seam allowance. You can see that I'm marking 4 inches there. I'll go ahead and also mark my 9.125 on that same line, then connect it to the other one. Remember, the back neckline is 3.5, which is what I'm marking now. From this edge here, I will go in by 1.5. You can as well do 2 inches, but I'm doing 1.5 here. Then on this side, which we're going to be having on fold, I will go down by 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to connect like so with a little curve. Can you see? Now on this side also, I'll go up by 1/2 inch, and I'm using a straight line to connect this. At this point, I have my collar stand and my collar ready, and yes, you can see I'm cutting out already. Please note that this side is going to be on fold. Now our pattern is ready, and we'll proceed to cut. Okay, so this is my fabric. Remember, our fabric is going to be on fold. Alright, and I'll place now. Our collar, we are cutting 2 pieces each. So when I'm done cutting this one, I will use this to cut the second one. Remember, I already added all my seam allowances, so I don't need to add any seam allowance. I'll just proceed now to cutting. Okay, so just like I said, I've cut out the second one, and then I went ahead to interface both of them. Now this is the collar itself. I'm going to be sewing this side I just showed you now on 1/2 inch. Alright, can you see? Now this is the collar stand. I'll fold it like so and notch the midpoint for the 2 of them. I'll repeat the same thing for the collar. Okay, now I'm going to fix this collar in between the collar stand, just like you see me doing. Okay, so now I'm going to sew on 1/2 inch, but you do well to leave 1/2 inch allowance, and when you get to the other edge also, leave half an inch also. Alright, so this is it. You want to notch and then trim out the excess you have there so that that side of your collar is not going to be bulky. Okay, so this is what I have. I'll go ahead now and press it out. Alright guys, so this is what we have. Can you see? Next thing now is to fix the collar to the shirt, and what you want to do is put your shoulder together like so to get the midpoint of the back neckline. I'm just trimming out the fabric I have there to neaten the neckline. So put the shoulder together, then notch the midpoint of the back neckline. Now repeat the same thing for your collar, and then you match the 2 points you have notched together, pin, and then you're going to sew. After sewing, you're going to use the other side of the collar to neaten it. And guys, this is what it looks like. Can you see? What is left for us now is to fix our sleeve, and not to bore you too much, I already cut out the sleeve, and this is I want to do a turn-up sleeve, so I already went ahead to cut out the fabric for the turn-up already. Okay, now this is the sleeve. I'm going to be sewing on 1 inch because that's the seam allowance I added. Okay, so I'll sew on 1 inch, sew out the seam allowance on 1 inch. I'm doing the same thing for the turn up. Okay, now this turn up is you can see that it's 4.5 inches and then wide, and the length is the same thing with or the width rather is the same thing with my sleeve. That's my round bicep measurement. So you want to work with your own accurate round bicep. Okay, so this is it guys, and this is the fabric for the turn up. Now I'll fold it into 2 like so. Can you see? And then I'm repeating the same thing for the second one, which is for the second sleeve also. Now you have this turned out. This is how to do it, but your main sleeve, you're going to leave it on the wrong side like this and just fix it into it like this. Can you see? Now you just go ahead and sew it straight, sew it round like so. Repeat the same thing for the second one, and this is what you have. Can you see? Please don't forget to serge all the rough allowances that you have. Okay, now I'll just fix the sleeve to the blouse, and then I'll show you what we have. Alright guys, so this is it. Can you see? This can be worn as a corporate shirt, for office use, and you can also wear it for casual. Thank you for staying tuned to this time. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.